What's up, boxing fans? This is TBE Boxing, back at you again. Today's topic: balls or arrogance. Bozy said, stand in front of boots. Xander did that. The KO became inevitable. Let's chop it up and see what it's all about.
So when I stop him, y'all gonna say he was too weak.
On my
and,
life.
and he stayed
On
at
my life,
147.
you would not stop
too
me.
long.
You would not stop me.
Okay.
You crazy.
careful
What
what
you
you-
smoking on? Asmir, hey.
Got the money for minutes, pretty bitch, gotta show me titties. This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? This is the life that I chose, huh? On the block with the pole, huh? That life before Richard, huh? And I got the glitzy, run up on me, I'ma make you get it. I'ma make you get it.
Canelo threw a left hook to the body that Crawford blocked, went for the head control, and responded with a short uppercut. Canelo followed with a right to the body that Crawford blocked again, countering with another uppercut, then blinding Canelo with his lead hand to stab him in the body with a left hand. Canelo responded with a left body shot that Crawford turned slightly so it hit his back and countered with a left hand. He pushed Canelo to create distance and got off his uppercut before Canelo could even land his right to the body. Crawford rolled the oncoming left hook to the body and countered with a four-punch combination, as he blocked Canelo's right hand before pivoting away. Boxing genius.
Okay, boxing fans, let's talk some boxing. I'm going to chop it up. All right, so the fight is in the rear view mirror now, and we all saw what happened. Let's take a look. Let's do some analysis and see, where how everything played out. Now, as you all know, in my pre-fight analysis, I made the point that I basically told you two ways of way this fight might go. Uh, I basically said, if you want to boil it down, I basically said that if the fight ended early, Xander would be the winner. Excuse me, I mean, if the fight ended early, Boots would be the winner, and if the fight ended late, uh, Xander would be the winner. And I also leaned towards Vander for the win. But again, that was based on certain things happening in the fight that basically did not happen. Okay, so the first thing we got to take a look at is that before this fight even started, I saw, Bozy had said to Xander in one of those press conferences, "Don't run, stand in front of Boots, stand in front of Boots." And it looks like Zayas took that to heart, or he decided to do just that, stand in front of Boots. Obviously, that was a huge mistake, and that basically cost him the fight. So, it cost him to get knocked out, basically. So the strategy that Xander fought with was totally the wrong strategy. So let's start. Let's chop up how it all started. So in the first round, we saw that the the first punch that Xander threw was like sort of a jab hook, and the second punch was an overhand right. Now there's no way that should have happened, okay? Because the second punch being an overhand right in the first round means that you're much too close to Boots. Okay, in the first round, that you're not supposed to be able to throw an overhand right in the first round. You're supposed to be moving, circling to your left, circling to your right, and on the move. That would have been the way should Hackett or Karen would have fought this fight in the beginning. Okay, which was the strategy that Xander should have followed. Which was a strategy I thought that Xander was going to follow. I thought he was going to follow a strategy of basically boxing for the first half of the fight, maybe the first 6 rounds, and then in the seventh, eighth, ninth, and tenth, start stepping up the pace a little bit and start getting closer to Boots when Boots had expended most of his power and speed. But it looks like Xander went in there for whatever reason. I have no idea, to tell you the truth, what was going through his mind, or if that was a strategy, if he, you know, if he got hurt early and decided that he couldn't move anymore. I think he said something like that. He got caught in a punch in the first round. Well, of course you're going to get caught in the first round if you're in there mixing it up at close range with Boots. I mean, you can say what you want about Boots, plus or minus, okay, for or against. But Boots can punch, and his record states that. Okay, I mean, when you have a record where you only two of your fights didn't end in a knockout, that tells you all you need to know about his power. So I mean, why would you go in there trying to mix it up and going punch for punch with a guy like Boots when you don't even have a 50% knockout ratio, and Boots knockout ratio is like 80 almost 90%. So that was the first mistake, and that was basically the biggest mistake, and that mistake more than likely cost them the fight. So now I don't know why Xander went in there doing that. I mean, it's because of what Bozy said. Maybe Bozy said that to him, and he probably thought to himself, "Hey, I'm the bigger guy, I'm the stronger guy, I'm the younger guy. I'm gonna go in there and show them that I can stand in there with Boots." Big mistake. Okay, whatever the reason was why he did that, what he did, the strategy. If it was his corner strategy, that was a big mistake. They should have never come up with a strategy like that. The strategy for this fight should have been stay away from Boots for the first half, box him, keep him at the end of the jab, move, drop a right hand in there when you can and a left hook. But mostly just jab and stay away and let the fight go into the later rounds, because as you all know, Boots doesn't really fight that many 12-round fights. He only had like what, two? I don't even know. There probably was 10 rounds fight because they probably won championship rounds. Well, actually, no. He had a couple of fights that went the distance, but I think Karen Chazukian was two of those fights, and both of those fights went the distance, and there was some other ones. Now, as far as Boots is concerned, the fight was perfect for Boots. Great job. Okay. He did what he was supposed to do in there. If if Zayas stood in front of him, he did what he was supposed to do. He knocked him out, which is what was supposed to happen, because Xander have no business standing in front of Boots, especially in the earlier rounds. So that was a huge mistake on his part, and great job by Boots to finish him off. You know, because he made himself available to Boots. Okay, and I don't know what he thought, because he was bigger. Uh, thought maybe he thought he was stronger. It looked like he's a bigger, stronger guy, but still, your knockout ratio is very low compared to Boots. So why would you want to stand in front of Boots? Big mistake. And then now, you know, some people say he had balls, and I even say he had balls for taking the fight. But it looks like it wasn't just balls; it was arrogance. Okay, that's what I see from the way this fight went. He was arrogant and thought he could go in there and beat Boots at his own fight, at his own game, which usually that is a mistake. We even saw, that uh, he got dropped multiple times in there. Uh, Again, he presented himself. He stood right in front of Boots to get hit. Okay, now he got out for one or two good shots in there himself. Like that left hook. Now, like I said in my pre-fight analysis, Boots have a tendency to get lax in there. He have a tendency to like lose focus, and it looked like that's what happened. In the third round when he got caught by that left hook. But based on how the fight went, Boots didn't do bad at all. I mean, people say he got hit a lot, but I mean, he got hit once, twice, a couple of times, and he was able to overcome it. And he also, because that left hook is a dangerous punch from Xander, and it's a strong punch. But Boots was able to overcome getting touched with that left hook, and did the job that he was supposed to do. Again, completely wrong strategy for Zayas. Perfect strategy for Boots. That was the fight that he would have wanted to fight, I would think. And he did, exactly what, like I said, he was supposed to do. Now, what else did we see in there? Well, we saw that, like I said, in the first, and in the pre-fight analysis, from mid-range to close, Boots is a dangerous fighter. If you're gonna stand there and try to trade punches with him, he's pretty quick. He got long arms, and he can he can do some damage at close range to mid range. Okay, Boots. Zayas should have stayed at long range, like I said, jabbed, move, jab, like he did in all his other fights. I mean, I don't understand what happened in this fight. Why he decided that he was just going to stand in front of Boots when he never did that in front of in any of his other fights. In all his other fights, he's moving, boxing, you know. But in this fight, he decided to stand there. Now he said something about, oh, he got hurt, something. I don't know. I'm not sure if it was a body shot, and that's why he was staying in front of. He stood there, which doesn't really make much sense to me because if you started moving like you were supposed to in the first place, you wouldn't have got that body shot. Okay, body shots are from the inside, basically. So you was that if you got hurt with a body shot in there against Boots in the first round, you was too. That just shows you that you was fighting the wrong strategy. You was too close. You should never got caught with that. So again, I just don't understand what was going on in his corner. Why, even if that was his idea to stand in there with Boots, his corner should have told him, "Listen, don't do that. Stay away from Boots." But I didn't really hear anything like that coming from his corner. Uh, Maybe that was their strategy to go in there and show Boots that they were the bigger man because Boots is the one that's moving up. And they probably figured, hey, well, he moved up in his last fight. This is the second fight that weight division, and maybe they felt that because Zayas was a bigger, and they thought maybe stronger fighter, he should press the fight and take the fight to Boots. But again, that was a faulty strategy that should have never been entertained in the least. Okay, because as we all know, uh, like I said, Boots is a bit. I mean, Zan is a bigger, stronger fighter than say a Tzatziki, but that doesn't mean because you are bigger and stronger that you should abandon what got you to where you are, which is boxing. Okay, uh, he abandoned boxing, decided to fight Boots for whatever reason, and the rest is history. So at the end of the day, you got to give Boots and his team good, props for what they did in there. They basically lured him in and lured in Xander into a fight and ended him. And based on the strategy that Xander was pursuing, the fight ended the way it was supposed to end, with him getting knocked out, because that's the only way it was going to end. If you were going to have a fight against Boots, going punch for punch that early in the fight, big mistake, huge mistake. Excuse me. So Boots advanced. Now he has two belts, which is great for him. Congratulations on this victory. Great performance, based on what was presented to him. And he did what he was supposed to do. And so, yeah, now he has two belts. And, I see that he's calling out uh, the Twin Towers. Uh, whether that fight is going to happen, we don't know. Uh, you know, uh, there's a lot of fights at 154 pounds for Boots right now. He basically, can pick and choose, who he's gonna fight next. But it looks like he's going for the belts. Now, I heard, you know, uh, there's other people calling him out, but it looks like he's going to pursue the belts, which is the best thing to do. So go after the belts. Don't you can fight those other guys that want to fight you later. Okay, become undisputed at 154 pounds, and then maybe defend the title once or twice, and then move up to 160. Because really and truly, I think 160 pounds is where Boots is going to be at his best. Okay, even at 154 pounds, I think that he's struggling to make that weight. I think his real weight is 160 pounds and maybe 168 down the line. So, we'll see how all that plays out. But who's going to be the next fight for Boots? Ortiz, Virgil is trying to call him out, but I mean, there was a lot of opportunity for Virgil to make that fight with Boots before this fight, and for whatever reason, the fight fell through. I don't, if I'm Boots, I'm not going for Virgil Ortiz right now. He doesn't have a belt. He has nothing, so he can wait. He needs to go for the people with the belts. Josh Kelly is out there, putting his name putting his hat in the ring. You got Fundora, who's a WBO and WBA. Boots is a WBA and WBO champion, and you got Fundora with the WBC belt, and you got Josh Kelly with the IBF. So who's he gonna fight next? We're not sure, but it looks like it might be the Josh Kelly fight. That might be the easiest fight to make at this point. Uh, so we might be seeing that fight because they're both under the same promotional banner, basically. But again, only time will tell. So at this point, Boots have arrived. This is his moment. Okay, he's a unified champion, 154 pounds. He got 2 more fights if he wants to collect those belts, and he could do that. And so he's on the cusp of doing something great at 154 if he can maintain his current winning strategy. Good for him. It's good for boxing. I would love to see who he's going to fight next. Whether it's Ortiz, Fundora, or Kelly, it would be a great fight. I would love to see it, and definitely looking forward to it. As for Xander Zayas, I'm pretty sure he learned a hard lesson. When you go in there, you got to fight your fight. You don't fight your opponent's fight. I'm not sure what was going on with his corner. What if that was their strategy? If that was their strategy, it was a foolish strategy, and it should never be repeated. Now, I'm hearing that Boots is, it's on the grapevine out there. Boots is going to bring in probably Mayweather, Andre Ward for defense. Again, it's not defense so much, because I think people overhype the fact that he gets hit a lot. I think it's more or less, in fundamentals that probably need to be worked on. And bringing in a guy like Andre Ward or Mayweather would be perfect for Boots. I think he'd do a lot to help him. And I think that, he would learn a lot from those guys. Okay. Those guys are veteran defensive fighters, and actually 2 of the best defensive fighters in the last 20 years in boxing. So with that said, let's hope something like that happens and they do go in there and show them a thing or two. But again, Boots not looking too bad right now. Okay, he did the job against Zayas, which I thought that he would probably, lose that fight. But again, that was based on the strategy that Xander was supposed to be using, which was boxing, which he didn't use at all. He went in there and tried to fight with Boots and got what he asked for. He got knocked out. Again, congratulations to Boots on his win. Let's see what happens in the next fight. And with that said, I'm going to leave it there. This is TBE Boxing saying, I'm out.
In the land of the Nile, before the empire came, ancient mothers and sons were calling holy names. HERU in the sunrise, Isis in the stream. Then rulers drew a border around the sacred dream.
throne, turning living memory into stone. What the priest once guarded, the state came to own, and dressed the old fire in a newer tone. They renamed the light, renamed the face, put a foreign crown on a sacred place. From HERU to Jesus, from Isis to Mary, empire loves truth when it's changed and made shiny. They renamed the light, renamed the sound, built a new heaven on ancient ground. But the river still whispers, the ancestors see what was born in the Nile was never set free. At night saw the language got sharpened and clean, councils of power behind the scene. The story was wide and the symbols aligned, and Africa's memory got left behind. Yeshua in the mouth of the western priest, while the older mystery was put to sleep. Not a single day did the empire blink, it just changed the labels and changed how we think. They renamed the lights, renamed the face, put a foreign crown on a sacred place. From HERU to Jesus, from Isis to Mary, empire loves truth when it's changed and made shiny. They renamed the lights, renamed the sound, built a new heaven on ancient ground. But the river still whispers, the ancestors see what was born in the Nile was never set free. Whoa! Was it revelation or was it design? Was it sacred vision or a political line? When the strong control the book and the creed, they can make the whole world bow to what they need. But truth don't vanish when the seal is pressed. It hides in the drum and it lives in the chest. Call it HERU, call it Christ, call it Lord. The whole world pulse can't be ignored. They renamed the light, I renamed the face. Put a foreign crown on a sacred place. From HERU to Jesus, from Isis to Mary, empire loves truth when it's changed and made shiny. They renamed the light, renamed the sound, built a new heaven on ancient ground. But the river still whispers, the ancestors see what was born in the Nile was never set free. Nile to Rome, the mass to the page, ancient flames survive in every age. Change the names but the soul remains, memory rising to imperial age.